Hey everyone, this is Pramita here. Today I'm going to do a flip of my morning journal, and I had done a previous session of this, and some of you have really loved it. And I had been kind of in a rut, I my morning journals have been facing a lot of trouble. Uh, I'll talk about those in while I show my journals in. Now, previously my morning journal had for the month of October, it didn't last the whole of the month in one notebook, because I had been using that from September, and then October was halfway through and a few days were left when I finished that notebook. And then I talked about how I chose one notebook and I was not happy with the way the papers were taking watercolor, because that's what I generally do. I make watercolor florals and then I journal. It might be about specific kind of feeling that I'm having on that morning, or my that day, because it's not always that I am able to do it in the mornings. Sometimes I do it a bit later in the day and I write something original, or sometimes when I am running out of inspiration, I also try and you know use some quotes or something. I'm just moving my camera a little bit. Yeah. So sometimes I do like that also, but that's how I feel at that moment. So I start what I went through a lot of ideas in my head, and then what I did was I had some watercolor papers in the form of a drawing, the notebook sort of thing, and I took them apart, some of the pages, and I bound them into a book like so, and I stitched them and made it into a notebook, and I started doing journaling and watercoloring on that. Okay, so let me go through this very quickly because it doesn't need much explanation, but it's how I function. I generally write about some kind of feeling that I'm having on that day. Sometimes it's about currently what I'm listening to, reading, and doing. Sometimes I write something down, mostly original ones. And I like to write around the floral arrangements a lot. And as you can see, I have done some watercolors. I think I have shown these pages quite a little bit, but not all. So it's like so. Yeah. So it's not very specific. It's very organic, and sometimes like on this day, Thursday, I didn't do anything. It was Diwali for us, and on Friday what I did was I didn't write anything literally, but I this is like a poem I wrote. I'm a shell of a person that I used to be. I'm a shadow of my black and white snapshot, hiding in the remote dusty corners of my newest self, broken bits of my ghosts dot my present, waiting to be gathered into a new me. So it's like that. And sometimes I do write something which is not a poem. It depends. And I try to paint some pictures with a little bit of shadowy effect. I don't know how good they are, but this was the first attempt at doing something like this, so it's okay, I guess. So that day I wrote barren emotions. I was not feeling anything of sorts. It was like a numb kind of day. And I wrote something over here like how a caterpillar metamorphoses into a butterfly. Me being like that, if I compare myself to a caterpillar at all. So it's like this. And then I wrote accomplish the impossible. It was a fuzzy feeling on that day because it was a Monday. A Sunday I wrote here, and then this was a Monday. So I didn't write anything specifically, poetry or original writing, anything of that sort on Sunday nor on Monday. So it's not every day that I do this, but basically I would love to do that. but it's sometimes I don't have the time. So, and on Tuesday also I did nothing. Things I want to change in me, that's nothing. Yeah. So this was Wednesday, and I started using the Prima watercolors, watercolor confections, and they came out pretty well. I have even used some stamp set splatter stamps, and yeah, it gives a kind of dreamy kind of look. I love this. And once again, I wrote about how I was feeling that day. Generosity, that was the key word of my at that point of time. And this was once again a poem I wrote: when my pain met its soul, we healed together. Yeah. So this was Thursday. Once again, I used my Prima watercolors, and they are highly pigmented basically, and I require quite a teeny bit because I like to give that translucent kind of look. I prefer that because that helps to layer up leaves and stuff like that. So this is, once again, I wrote something over here. And warrior fighting meaningless wars. Yeah, that's what we are, sometimes, most of the times rather. So it's like this. I wrote like this. These are some watercolor wash florals, and these Prima watercolors, they layer up pretty well. As you can see, the transparent layers can be seen. So, and on that day I wrote stuck on you. um, these pages are pretty you know seen all over the Instagram, because I usually post every day. So some watercolor florals once again, and this, I think I used some glittery paint at the center. Yeah, this was once again an experiment I was doing. So, and I think that was 30th, and I didn't do much on 30th, and I left it just like that, uninspiring day. So you can see from the word itself that I was not doing anything much. So next I switched over to my Fabriano, and I was super happy with the quality of the paper, but disaster struck. So, and this page, this notebook has a peculiar stuff thing going on. Like, it has each and every single page attached to the spine with a thin layer of glue. So as soon as I was using watercolor, the glue came undone. But somehow I tried to fix that, using gluing up this part and putting glue all over the spine. Sorry for the shaking. Glue all over the spine inside, and to fix the issue. But what happened was, my camera is not focusing. What happened was, repeated use of watercolor loosened the binding a lot, and I don't know, it started to fall apart. So this is what happened. This was Wednesday. This was November. This was my title page, and this was Wednesday. And most of the pages I think I have posted on Instagram, and if I have not, I'll make sure that I do so. So it's like that. These are usually all Prima watercolors and Koi watercolors. That's what I like to use. Prima confectionaries, I don't know, confections, whatever. Prima watercolors are pretty subtle, their brightness is very muted sort of thing, I find. On the other hand, the Koi watercolors are very vibrant, and I love them basically. I love them. I love my Koi watercolors. I need to get another set. Anyways, so this is this was on a Thursday, and I was teaching about mutability and immortality in my class. And I was talking about the stranger that I see in the mirror. That was not me, quite a while back. And that's what I did. And this was like This was a Friday 10th. Slaughtered soul needed a sliver of broken light. Um, this was once again a poem that I had written. Most of the days I write something original, and sometimes when I lack inspiration, I go back and look something up on Pinterest, or and if I use a quote, I always mention the where the quote I had taken it from. So this was once again, always wondered, why do we like to gravitate towards each other if someday in distant future we will part? Why do I long to be cured if you are my ailment? So I want to remain ailing, ready to part forever. So that was Saturday, yeah. And there were some big changes going on, and yeah. So Sunday, as usual, I have written a poem over here. And as you can see, the pages are all coming apart, and I was so unhappy with the notebook because I loved the quality of the page, and still I couldn't make it work, and it was like a failure I was experiencing, not because the notebook failed. I felt like I have failed somewhere, you know and it's like that. So this was a page, once again, the sunflower. I like the sunflower bit a lot, and this was a Friday 17th. But you will see as I proceed, I get more and more irregular in journaling. Once, because my life was getting busier around this time, and I really had no time to journal regularly. So I had this page painted, so I decided to write a quote sort of thing. As you can see, the pages are all just falling apart, and I I really have no words to say. So, and these are me and my dreams. Me and my demons, sorry. Me and my demons live together, sometimes in peace and harmony, but mostly as warring partners. None of us have tamed the other, nor have hope of doing so. Our war is an ongoing process of taking control where neither want to surrender. So that's my life. It's a constant warfare with all sorts of things, busy and wordless. I don't have anything to say. Right. I think I was doing this in the afternoons, morning journaling had taken a back seat because I was getting busier in the mornings. So this was like a tree I had painted, and then I went back with a pen and did the leaves. It was a tedious process. So I said, what are your dreams? Give it sunshine, shelter it from the harsh world so that it blossoms, spreading its fragrance around. So it was a very busy day, and I wrote something. I think these are the pages that I have not shared on Instagram. I did share this page, I think. This was also Prima watercolors. You will see the Prima watercolors are more translucent, basically. And this is also Prima watercolor. This is also, no, this is not Prima. I'm not sure. So this is also another page I did with Prima watercolors. As you can see, I've painted the pages, but I've not done anything. And disaster struck when December pages came about. So this was my December title page, and as you can see, it totally ripped apart from the main notebook. And this was Saturday. Saturday was 2nd December. This was, I think, Monday 4th. I was not doing journaling regularly because I was super busy, and on top of that, this notebook decided to quit on me. How harsh can life be? So I thought of doing something as usual. I had some thick sketch papers with me, and I decided to make it into a notebook. So what I did was I made 2 signatures, as you can see, and I've stuck them in this cover. And this was a dashboard from Coco Daisy from last year, so I used that, and I have just painted a page out here to see how it works out. So I hope this is going to be okay for December, where my camera has decided not to focus. So bye bye for now. See you next time.